Yo, welcome everybody back to the JV Sports Room. As usual, your host, JDino, the other half of the team behind the scenes, my man Vince.
Yeah.
Y'all already know these all-stars. We got my man Alex and Big J back in the front and center.
Yeah.
And y'all know 2 weeks into the NFL season, only 6 teams left 2-0. Eagles and Giants happen to be 2 of them. So we're going to kick it off with 2-0 teams. We're going to kick it off actually with the NFC East. So we got a Cowboy in the house as well. Like to introduce my man Jarvis back to the show.
Jarvis.
Boo.
Oh, damn. Bunch of haters.
Boo.
Yeah. Here.
So we got the Cowboys, we got the Eagles, and we got the Giants in the house. So let's talk about this NFC East a little bit. Big win Monday night for them Eagles against the Vikings.
Big win. After the aftermath of the game, I came across a quote myself as I was, celebrating the win. And let me see if I can find it. Oh, here it is. They didn't believe in us. God damn.
Oh, DJ Khaled in the house.
Oh, no.
Hey, I think that was the greatest, at least the first half, the greatest game of Jalen Hurts' young career. I think he put the league on notice. Questions going into the season were, is he going to be able to throw the ball or is he just going to continue to run? He's doing both, folks. He's doing both.
I hate it.
He is. How you feel about these Eagles, Jarvis?
Well, I'll comment on the Eagles first. They're looking like the best team in the NFC East right now, right? Granted, Cowboys are dinged up. We have some injuries going on. Dak Prescott out. We're trying to rush him back, which I don't agree with. Coming into our bye week this week against the Giants. Jerry Jones, they're coming out talking about 2 weeks. Trying to rush him back in 2 weeks to be back for Washington. I think that's stupid. I think that's a little premature. So looking at our schedule, realistically, we have Washington, we have the Giants. Easy win.
Easy win for us. Easy win.
We have the Washington Commanders the following week. Easy win. And we have the Rams. So I think we need, and then the Eagles. So I think we need to stick to our original 4 weeks at the minimum to bring Dak back. Try to get him back by the Rams or at the latest, the Eagles. I think that would be great in week 6. But yeah, Jerry Jones, there's no reason to rush him back by week 4. It's ridiculous. Michael Parsons balling out. 2 games, 2 sacks in each game, 4 sacks in 2 games, balling out. Cooper Rush looking like a late Tom Brady at the end of the game to win the game against the Bengals. We weren't supposed to win that game. Supposed to win that game. One other thing, man, I thought we were going to go out and sign Cam Newton. I was a big advocate for signing Cam Newton when Dak got hurt. I'm really surprised we didn't make a move on a quarterback, and we left it in Cooper Rush's hands. A lot going on, man. A lot going on out here.
You mentioned rushing Dak back, and I agree. There is a world where you let Dak rest up, and hopefully Cooper Rush can sneak some wins, similar to what we saw last year with the Steelers, with Micah Parsons putting on his best TJ Watt impression and just willing out games. Hopefully Cooper Rush, you mentioned the schedule, maybe can go 500 out of that. And then you get Dak back. Week 6, 7 against the Eagles, Sunday Night Football. I think that'll be a good fairy tale story right there. And then your world comes crumbling down when you have to face us. And, we take that dub. But
realistically speaking, coming into week 5, we could be 3-1, beat the Giants, beat the Commanders. Coming to week 5, 3-1 with Cooper Rush. That looks good to me.
Tall hill to climb for me. You mentioned earlier with the injuries, the offensive line banged up. Where's CeeDee Lamb? Noah Brown is stepping up in that for you guys big time. That's a big addition this year. Tall task for me.
Tony Pollard. He's been playing well as well.
Yeah. I think you can't overlook these GMEN on Monday night this week. I think they're playing with passion. They're playing with an energy that we haven't seen in a long time. I think that Brian Daboll coaching hire was huge, and we're seeing it come to life. Yeah, granted, we're not seeing high-level production from the quarterback position, but I think we said all offseason, this Saquon Barkley, when he's healthy, he's probably the most electric running back in the league.
Yes, sir.
Don't sleep on him.
Number 1 running back in the league as far as rushing yards at this point in time. Right. So don't sleep on us, G-Men. We're going to run all over them Cowboys Monday night. Daniel Jones is doing a lot better job this season of converting third downs. That's my biggest thing. He's not forcing it, and obviously Saquon Barkley is a check down monster. So Saquon Barkley being in the game healthy is a game changer, and you guys will find out Monday night.
Y'all might lose
I
by
mean-
14.
Yeah.
One thing we can do is stop the rush. I think you guys are going to have to pass the ball to beat us.
Mhm.
I agree.
And I just don't see it happening.
No, you got a believer over here in Alex.
Yeah, I'm with you, Jarvis. I think you guys can stop the rush. And I think that if you're going to rely on anything, it's going to have to be the passing game. And that's going to be your downfall because you guys can win, all right? But it's going to be in the hands of Jones. I think Saquon
Our
will do
offensive
his
line
thing,
is
but
much improved, and,
It is.
and I don't believe at all in that Cowboys offense without Dak behind the center. So I think our defense is going to get to you, and obviously we're doing a good job early in the season of grinding out wins like we did against Carolina and like we did Week 1 against Tennessee. So I mean, I feel like this will be another grind out win, but I think we'll beat these Cowboys.
watch out for that Cooper Rush, Noah Brown connection, though.
We're not getting rushed on this week.
Watch out for that connection because those boys are linking up.
I think it's safe to say that we still haven't seen a complete game, barring injury. You know, the Cowboys is not a complete team, but a complete game from both teams. So it's going to be interesting to see out of the two, Cowboys dealing with the injury adversity and the Giants dealing with Daniel Jones adversity. It's going to be interesting to see who puts it together more. And we could be looking at, you know, a potential lead in the division if the Giants end up winning and we end up fumbling the bag. So,
Which could
That would
very
be
well happen.
crazy.
It could very well happen.
That would be nuts.
G-Men on top of the division for right now. Jarvis, we appreciate you joining the show for this segment.
peace.
Let's go. Y'all have a good one, man.
Yes,
Take
sir.
it easy, brother.
Go Birds.
Yeah, man, definitely appreciate Jarvis coming on for the NFC East segment. But before we leave the NFC East, definitely want to give props to those Eagles. That defense was very, very slept on going into this season. And that defense looked great, man. That boy Darius Slay was all over the field this past week, right?
Yeah, he was a wet blanket on Justin Jefferson. Well, Justin Jefferson had 2 receptions?
Yeah.
2 receptions?
Against
That's
Darius, yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah, against Darius when they were matched up against each other.
Six catches for 48 yards total, which is obviously a very underwhelming performance for Justin Jefferson, man. But that defense, that Eagles defense looked good, man.
Yeah, so shout out to Slay. And I also got to give an apology to, I'm not apologizing to him, but I'm apologizing to Eagles fans because, you know,
Which is me.
I was doubting a little bit, but I never doubted Hurts. One thing I will say, for the longest time, I've never once in my lifetime doubted Hurts, and you will stand on that. I've always rode with Hurts, but I did not think the team was going to be this good, especially on the defensive side of the ball, and that's where I think I'm really taken back by, because like you said, they're
That boy
playing
Hassan
well.
Reddick was getting great pressure all night long.
Having Bradbury, like you said,
I think we pressured Kirk Cousins 23 times out of his 53 dropbacks. I mentioned it all offseason. The big additions, yes, the A.J. Brown splashy move, but the big additions was this offseason, the focus was on the defense. And we saw it. The first half, I said it earlier, was the greatest half in Jalen Hurts' young career. But that second half, led by big play Darius Slay, just all over the field. Should have had 4 interceptions.
he should have.
The defense stole the game in the second half, just locking up.
He actually had more catches than Jalen Reagor on the other side.
Right. If my math is correct, I think he was the number 2 receiver for the Minnesota Vikings. Darius Slay was.
He had 3 pass breakups on the goal line.
Yeah.
1 interception and 2 other pass breakups on the goal line.
Well, that's perfect, because that takes me straight over to those Minnesota Vikings, because Darius Slay actually had just as many receptions as Adam Thielen, who had a very underwhelming performance as well, along with Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook, and pretty much that whole
offense.
Minnesota offense. So let's talk about this NFC North a little bit, man, starting with those Minnesota Vikings.
Leading up into this game, we kept talking, you know, especially after week 1 with the win over the Green Bay Packers, you know, the arrival of this Minnesota Vikings. And I know Jay Money has been notorious and high on them. And even I've said, you know, I got high hopes for these Vikings as a sleeper team in the NFC. And now there's a question mark. You know, leading up to this game against the Eagles, my thing was we had to stop one thing. We had to stop either the pass or the rush. We ended up stopping both. Now there's the question mark gets pointed back at the Minnesota Vikings. Who are you? Are you a run team? Are you spread them out, throw the ball down the field? You know, it's going to be interesting to see how they move forward after this loss.
Got a huge matchup this weekend against a division rival in those Detroit Lions, but we'll get more into those Lions in a second. My thing about these Minnesota Vikings is I don't think they really lost that game. I think Philly's defense stole that game from them. They were dominant, okay? And I don't doubt Minnesota as much. So like I said, you know, I'm going on record to say that I'm moving forward with Minnesota probably winning this division still, even after this loss.
Really?
But they're going to have to get through those Eagles and a couple of these other, you know, tough teams in the NFC first.
I don't know, man. Look at it, like you said. All right, so you brought up Detroit. I don't even think they get past Detroit this week.
Ooh.
I don't think, in my personal opinion, I think this is what we talked about. I said Detroit's going to be over 500. This is one of those games that I think Detroit sneaks away with. I think you're right. Who are they? We're talking about Detroit. Detroit's the second highest scoring team overall in the past 2 games.
Only behind those Buffalo Bills.
Only behind the Buffalo Bills.
And they played the defense that we're talking about, the Eagles defense, and they put up.
We're talking about a Detroit team that lost to you 35-38.
Right.
And a Detroit team that just beat
The Commanders.
the Commanders, 36-27. They put up points. Minnesota's scraping the bottom of the barrel. If Justin Jefferson, Thielen, if they don't wake up, I think this is a game that, like I said, Detroit comes away with a squeaky win.
All right, so
High-scoring game.
Well, it's so up in the air. I mean, we're not gonna go straight to the who you got segment right now, but who you guys got in that matchup, man? You going with Detroit, big body.
I'm going.
Minnesota,
I'm going
Detroit. Sunday.
Are they waking up? Are they waking up? Is this the week that they do it?
I will say this, man. We touch it on the NBA a lot about coaches that are either former players and they get something out of the team. And what Dan Campbell has done in Detroit with these Lions, it's amazing. They're not flooded with loads of talent. Yes, they do have a young breakout star in Amon-Ra St. Brown who's taken the league by storm.
Yeah.
But I mean, you look down that roster, it's not, big MVPs and all pros and stuff, but he's getting the most out of the players. And I saw an interview with Dan Campbell and he said something that just really stuck to me. The interviewer asked him, what do you want this Detroit Lions team to be known as or remembered as? And he paused for a while and he sat there and he thought about it. And he said, this Detroit Lions team can and will. And I'm going to say the same thing. I agree. Detroit will go into Minnesota and they can and will beat the Minnesota Vikings.
There it is. So what you thinking?
It looks like I'm by myself on this one, man. I think Minnesota bounces back this week. Minnesota is not playing against that high-powered Philadelphia defense again. We're playing against the Detroit Lions, who have also given up one of the most amount of points this season as well. I mean, they're the highest scoring team,
60.
but they've given up a lot of points as well. So I think Minnesota's high-powered offense in Minnesota wins this game. I think Detroit is still young, and they're gonna have some growing pains, and one of them is gonna be a test on the road in Minnesota, and I don't think they're gonna overcome it.
How many yards did y'all get? Jalen Hurts ran all over them, didn't he?
Yeah. Yes, he did.
So then now we're talking about a quarterback that runs. Now you're talking about 2 decent, if not good, running backs going up there.
Could be a breakout season for DeAndre Swift as well.
All of the underwhelming numbers between Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, and Dalvin Cook, all of them have better games this week.
Yeah,
all of them have better
happen.
games
That
this
doesn't
week,
happen.
hands down.
No, in the world, I do agree, man. There's still something about these Minnesota Vikings. But you mentioned the Detroit Lions defense. We saw second overall pick, Aiden Hutchinson, had his breakout game with 3 sacks.
Right him up.
I think he's going to be all over Kirk Cousins. And also, not to mention, Amon-Ra St. Brown is the 3rd player in history to have at least 8 receptions in 8 straight games. I mean, the kid is electric.
He's a young Cooper Kupp, man.
He's absolutely, you mentioned Cooper Kupp and Jared Goff connection back in LA. And we're seeing it now in the Motor City. It's unreal. His route running, and he's not the biggest guy in the world, but he's just always open. It seems like he's just always open.
He is. Great route running, along with a great strong physique. You were talking earlier about, how
he's built. He's a little muscle sharp.
I mean, his father was Mr. Universe at one point.
Makes sense.
It's in his blood. And it's interesting to see where this offense could go, with the addition of Jameson Williams. Maybe we see him towards the middle of the season, explosive wide receiver out of Alabama.
Yep. And finally, a healthy DeAndre Swift out of the backfield. We don't see that often enough, so we don't see how great of a talent he is.
He did get banged up last week, so I want to see what the reports look like this week.
But then you got Williams right there, baby, right behind him.
They do. The running game is good over there, too.
Interesting, but yeah, Detroit. I'm riding with them. I'm gonna ride with them all season. I'm just gonna be honest.
It's fun,
I'm gonna
man.
ride with them. They look good. They're exciting. They're exciting. The culture over there is crazy.
Hey, Simba has grown up. Simba has grown up. It's not your father's Lions.
All right, but we ain't gonna waste too much time in the NFC North talking about the Bears. They haven't really given us much to talk about. I mean, their leading receiver, still only has 2 receptions on the season. But let's talk about these Packers a little bit.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers.
Still not sold, but you can go ahead and talk about them.
I've said it all. I'll continue to say it, and I've said it in the past. This team will go as Aaron Rodgers lets them go. Great running game. The weapons still to be determined. Who's going to really
real
step up?
Inconsistent so far.
Yeah, inconsistent. I mean, that's what you expect with rookies. Romeo Doubs really hasn't done anything yet. Christian Watson is still trying to put things together. Sammy Watkins is
one big play last week.
Big one.
I mean, but at the same time, Aaron Rodgers is still one of the greatest quarterbacks in the league, and the defense really hasn't shown it at a full capacity. But they still have one of the best defenses in the league, and I think the Packers are notorious for starting off slow, and then you remember the relax year when he kept telling the media, the RELAX, relax. I think we still have time for them to get it together and make a run towards the end of the season.
The division is obviously up in the air, and it's an uphill battle for right now because he's dealing with not too many weapons. His line is in shambles, but it starts this week.
There you go.
Huge game against Brady in Tampa.
Yep.
I mean, can he pull it out?
You know what's crazy? I honestly think they win that game. I think they with Tampa's injuries.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know. I don't see how offensively Leonard Fournette doesn't even have a touchdown on the season.
I mean, he did promise his fantasy owners that
he doesn't even have a touchdown on the season.
Brighter days are ahead.
So that offense to me is just looking shaky. And if you don't have, especially with Mike Evans being suspended,
still no Godwin yet.
Still no Godwin yet.
Mm-hmm.
You got Scotty Miller.
Not sure if Julio's going to play.
Julio's probably going to be. Who knows? Julio's always a question mark. Julio's always sit him on your bench. He's always a question mark.
Yeah.
But it's just I just don't see them being able to get through Green Bay. And like you said, Aaron, it's going to be a quarterback duel because they're both essentially thrown to the same people.
The battle of the Goliaths as far as the quarterback position. It's a tough fight for both of them. We haven't seen a Tampa Bay team at its full capacity yet. And I can say the same thing about the Packers. We've seen more splashy plays from the Packers, but they still haven't put it together. We mentioned the weapons. But I agree to a extent, something's off in Tampa for me. Something's off.
It's weird.
I just think, with the weapons getting injured and now, Mike Evans and the Marshawn Lattimore saga continues.
Which
now
Brady needs to pay Evans fine. I'm just saying.
Yeah, he probably will, man. Hey, shout out to Mike Evans, though. He's a real one for that.
That's what you're supposed to do.
That's what you're supposed to do. But
stand up for your quarterback.
But it is a shame that he's going to get suspended for that. And he might hurt his team.
Cole Beasley coming in for the week. I mean, they just brought him up from the practice squad. I mean, he great route runner.
Yeah, I mean,
Tom might look to rely on him a little bit in the in the slot.
Could be. I just think the Green Bay Packers team right now is probably a better team.
The realistic Green Bay's running game is just leaps and bounds in front of Tampa's right now. So, right. And that Tommy's been getting touched this year.
He's touched.
Tommy's been getting touched this year on that offensive line. So,
Yep.
I go Green Bay.
All right. Well, before we leave the NFC, we got another huge thing we got to talk about. And that's Trey Lance going down for those 49ers. Let's see if we can get money in on the line. Talk about it from a 49ers perspective.
Oh, yeah.
Sports team, what up, everybody? What's good?
Like the Mets fitted? Like the Mets fitted? Y'all just clinched?
Sure,
like that?
Sure. I got a rocket, man. But anyway, about this Trey Lance joint, man. As a fan perspective, man, you know what I'm saying? It hurt. It stung a little, man, because we was ready for it, man. We invested a lot, ready to go. You know what I'm saying? Full strength with this whole trade season. Unfortunate incident. He'll be back next year. Obviously, I'm kind of glad it's an ankle versus a serious knee injury. But, when it looks to the outlook of the Niners, man, we just the same squad from last year now. You know what I'm saying? You bring Jimmy in, you implement the same offense that we took us to the NFC Championship game. It's been a rough start. We haven't had George Kittle on the field yet. We lost Elijah Mitchell up to at least November. Our rookie, Davis Price, he's gone for 4 to 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. So, we got Jeff Wilson running the backfield right now. We got a young buck undrafted, Jordan Mason. Hoping to see some looks. And we just signed up move Marlon Mack from the practice squad to the actual squad, which I'm kind of low key liking that, man. We'll see what it do, but
I like that.
you know, it's tough, man. But I think the Niner gang out there, we just gotta stay firm with it, man. Keep running it. I think the most important thing, the fact that we got Jimmy in there, was the restructuring we did before the season started on his deal. He was making a minimum $6.5 million on the contract, but now with the restructuring, he has a per game escalator of $500,000 that he plays 50% of the snap. So he stands to benefit by going on the field, playing, balling out, bringing us further because he got another escalator to get us to the NFC Championship game and $1 million just to get to the Super Bowl and play 50% of the snap. So, I mean, you know, we just got to stick with it, man. You know, we lost some key players last year through free agency, but we brought in some players. So it's going to fall on our defense right now, man. That Niner defense, that front seven that we well known for, we just got to keep running it, man. That's it. No need to complain and be sorrow about it, man. Move on to next week.
You didn't mention your boys Debo and Ayuk, though. They're doing their thing.
They already did.
They doing their thing, though.
What's the mention? They already there. Y'all see them every Sunday. Y'all see them every Sunday.
You mentioned all the injuries, man. But when's the last time a quarterback gets injured and the Vegas odds for the team to actually win the Super Bowl go up? I mean, you guys actually got better, I think, from a Super Bowl perspective. Trey Lance is the future, but going into this year, looking to try to win another Super Bowl or at least compete, I think bringing Jimmy back is a great look for you guys. I'm not mad at it at all.
I mean, because we seen it happen last year, right? We seen what our offense done. We seen it way before last year too. What our team could do. But first, I was a little sad that Jimmy holding off on that all-season surgery, like he was trying to play us because he ain't really want to get traded. I'm glad we held firm after the restructuring because, you know, it's a rough game, man. Any given Sunday, you know what I'm saying? You could pop off, shine, the fourth quarter be the end of your season. You know, it's just, you know, any play could change the face of an organization or the season for a player. So, I mean, hands down, arguably, we probably had the best backup quarterback in the game. So we just plug him right in.
Easily.
I'll start off by saying this. You know, I feel for the kid. I feel for Trey Lance. You know, we touched on the impact of what this means for the 49ers, and I agree 100% with all that. I think they get better. Sadly enough to say, I think they get better with Jimmy G at helm. Big arrows up to Debo, big arrows up for Ayuk, and when George Kittle decides to play, big ups for him. But going back to Trey Lance, ironically enough, I mentioned the psyche of last week's game, the win with the Bears over the 49ers. But I wonder what this does to the kid, Trey Lance. Being a kid who played at an FCS school, not a big school at North Dakota State, didn't play. He played 1 year of college football, gets to the pros, plays sparingly his rookie year, and then now his season where he's supposed to break out, he gets injured in week 2 and now he's going to lose another year of development, another year of playing the game. What does this do to him in a mental state? A lot of these kids, you know, these are young kids. We're talking about 21, 22, 23-year-old kids that, you know, have all this money and now we're expecting them to step up in big time moments. And I'm just wondering what this does to the kid.
Good points. You know what I mean? I'm not going to even go against that, man. You bring out a great point. I mean, I think this, for a young player coming into the league, knowing that he didn't have much time on the field, I mean, I wouldn't put so much emphasis on him sitting out last year, right? We see a lot of organizations do that and hold back their rookie quarterback for a year. But going back to the college and what you're saying, playing one season, this is where adversity comes into play, man. It's really on him what he wanted to do for the rest of his career. I mean, this is definitely rough what happened. It could shake up any rookie just to be all excited. But I think one thing about it, because it was a nasty injury, man. His ankle went a whole different direction.
Yep.
I mean, we see Tyler Lockett stuff with broken legs like that come back, have a great career from a wide receiver position. But from a quarterback perspective, from a quarterback position, I think it teaches him now, too, to really just sit back, watch film, man, figure out this pocket game, even though you really didn't have that much experience in playing on the field in the NFL yet. But he stuck with us for the next 2 years, regardless, right? You know what I'm saying? But from a contract basis, now at least 9 is the question. You know, hopefully he gets on the field next year and actually shows out. Because if he does it, now do we pick up that 5th-year option? You know what I'm saying? That's where we at with it.
It's going to definitely be a snowball rolling downhill from here on out.
Yeah, for sure.
What's going to be the outcome? But it is tough. It is tough. You know, not playing that much in college and then getting to the league and having your moment and it's taken away from you. So
it sucks. Anybody know? I've been screaming on the show the whole offseason, man. It's Trey season. It is what it is, man. You know, well, what we gonna do, man? We just got to move on from it now, and just play. Football is a game of week by week, man. On to the next game, man. You know, you play for the big goal, but just gotta get on the next week now.
Yeah, like JDino said it best. You know, this team, maybe outside of the Jets, are the only team where the starting quarterback could get injured and the team gets better. So.
The one thing I will say, though, it does also give the Niners a chance to kind of reset again. You know, they didn't get a chance to trade Jimmy in the offseason. As long as Trey's recovery does okay and they look forward to him being the quarterback of their future going into next season, I think it'll give them a second chance to look into moving Jimmy in the offseason again, and you guys won't, quote unquote, get stuck with him like you did this year.
Yeah, before them first cuts happen, I think there's an opportunity for someone to pick him up, but it depends. It'll probably be a sign and trade if anything, because he's a free agent after this year. But I think at the end of the day, man, for Trey, man, film don't hurt, man. Get to the film room, man. Focus on your rehab. Stay in the facility. You know, that's my best advice for a young player like him. You know, stay in the facility. Stay with the trainers on facility. Get around the team. Stay in the culture. And just get ready, man. Watch that film.
That's good advice.
At the end of the day, man, holding on to Jimmy ended up being a blessing in disguise for you guys. Appreciate you coming on and talking to us about these Niners and this Trey Lance situation, Money.
For sure, man. You already know.
Hopefully we can get you back on a little later for the Who You Got segment.
Yeah, man. I'm down.
All right, well, I definitely appreciate Money coming on to help us wrap up the NFC part of the show. Yes, but we're going to kick it over to the AFC. And since we got a Browns fan on here, why don't we start it off talking about how the Browns fumbled the bag against the New York Jets.
I don't know.
I mean, let's go straight to the Browns.
What do you want me to say,
talk
man?
to me
What do
about
you want
it,
me to
man.
say? We're supposed to be all right. We're supposed to be right here. We mentioned it at the top of the segment, all the 2-0 teams. Mm-hmm. We fumbled the bag. We let them come back and score 2 touchdowns in a minute and 55 seconds. And credit to the Jets. Credit to our defensive coordinator who needs to be fired. Fire him. Credit to the Jets. I mean, Garrett Wilson, what can I say about the kid? The kid's going in there. He sliced us up. Scores a game-winning touchdown. Throws up the
Ohio.
Throws up the OH and starts screaming at the fans. I respect it.
Gotta love it, man.
But that's something that should not have happened. Nick Chubb could have ended it by sitting, kneeling. He didn't. He apologized for that.
That's
he's done that in the past. So
yeah,
he has. He's kneeled before. He's kneeled before, and I needed him to score for fantasy, and he's killed me.
Over,
yeah, he thought. But that also, it's a credit to our defense being so bad. You can't let someone cut you up like that. Basically, two tutties in 2 minutes and recover an onside kick.
And that's the biggest question.
Lord.
And that's the biggest question is, we talked up so highly about this Cleveland defense. What is going on in Cleveland right now?
I'm telling you, man, our coordinator has a problem with running 2 deep safeties. He loves cover 2, and where the Browns mostly get exposed, just like we did versus the Jets, is in the middle of the field. It's our number 1 weakness and our defense. I said it before the show. If you were to look at a pass chart on the Browns, it would probably be highlighted in red, dead center of the field.
And that's where that young boy Garrett Wilson did all his damage.
All his work.
Just cutting up in the middle of the field and just slicing and dicing these Browns up. I mean, it's a shame that you lose a game where your running back scores 3 touchdowns. You guys both said it. That defense. Where's Myles Garrett? Where's this Jadeveon Clowney? Where's these beasts on the outside getting to the quarterback? Like,
it's a letdown, honestly. The defense was supposed to do their job.
Yeah, definitely a letdown. But also, at the same time, you got to give the Jets a little bit of credit. I mean, Joe Flacco knows how to play against the Browns and the entire AFC North, for that matter, playing in Baltimore for so long. And on top of that, a lot of these young rookies stepping up. Both Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall got their first touchdowns of their career this game. So shout out to them young rookies.
Exciting to watch Breece Hall actually get his motor going. We actually got to see him do a little thing.
Saw some explosion.
That's that sour sweet, because I got him on fantasy, so I'm like, yo, cut up a little bit. At the same time, I'm like, take it easy. But it was good to see him run. I was expecting that he would do all right versus us.
I ended last week's show saying, we're keeping receipts, but I want to shout out Robert Saleh because that's who I got it from. He was notoriously known for saying to the media, hey, we're keeping receipts. Those that are laughing at us and talking down on the Jets, we're keeping receipts. And he showed, the team came together. You mentioned Joe Flacco, and he's notorious year after year after year beating up on these Browns when he was back in Baltimore. So, it's not new to him, Joe Flacco. The biggest question now is when Zach Wilson is ready to come back, they have come out and said that, hey, we're waiting until Zach gets 110% healthy.
Hey,
that might be a sign that we may
don't
not see
start him. We
may not see Zach Wilson.
Hold on
him
to that.
for a little
Yeah,
while.
you put him on the back burner.
Let Joe Flacco go out there and win some games for these Jets.
I like it. I like it, man. But you know what? Those Browns weren't the only team in the AFC North that crumbled to an AFC East team. Man, those Baltimore Ravens. That secondary got shredded by the Miami Dolphins and by that boy Tua.
Did Baltimore get shredded? And did they get exposed? Or is Miami really getting their groove on? Is Miami becoming Miami? This is what I want to know. Because Baltimore is a good team. They did their thing. Lamar had a great game. You do that. Lamar does that on any other week. We're praising him. Oh, look what Lamar did. He did this and that. We're actually giving Miami the shine this week. Not alone for beating them, but they looked good.
They did.
It didn't look sloppy. They played well together. Tua was able to actually manage the game and do what he needed to do in times.
Oh, he did more than manage the game. He stole and ripped that game away from them. I mean, we're talking 36 for 50, 469 yards passing, six touchdowns. There was a world where Tua Tagovailoa, coming out of college, coming out of Alabama, was the #1 quarterback prospect in his class. There was a world. Now, that world was cloudy at one point. We weren't sure. He was drafted over Justin Herbert, believe it or not. And I think you said it. Those weapons, I mean, we're talking about Tyreek Hill, the cheetah, and Jalen Waddle, who both probably run under 4.3 of them. So, it's unreal how much speed these guys have. And now you have two of them. We saw it with Patty Mahomes when there was just one. Now there's two. Plus you got Mike Gesicki, who's an athletic freak himself.
He's a good guy.
It was an air show. It was an air show. And much props to Tua, absolutely. But going into this season, there was so much doubt about that Baltimore Ravens secondary. And they got absolutely shredded. Yeah. It was the Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle show. They go for 22 receptions and almost 400 yards between the two of them. You can't tell me that Baltimore did not crumble as far as their defense. Lamar did a great job of keeping them in the game and keeping that game alive, but that defense crumbled.
It's a shame because you even said it. If the game ended the way the Baltimore Ravens thought it would, where they end up with a win, we will be talking about Lamar right now and how much money he probably earned after that performance.
That's what I'm saying.
21 for 29. 318 and 3 touchdowns. I mean, that's a great game for Lamar Jackson.
I mean, he beat me in fantasy. Dropped a 50 piece on my head.
I mean, and that's not to mention the 119 yards rushing he had. Lamar Jackson played an unreal game. He definitely earned his money. They better pay him at, either this year or end of the season.
He had the longest rushing touchdown of the season this year.
That was an unreal game to watch. But shouts out to Tua and the Miami Dolphins. I mean, they've put themselves in. Yes, they're 2-0. But they put themselves in that conversation where you got to start putting some respect on their name.
Yep. Don't sleep.
Big matchup this week against Buffalo Bills.
Secondaries better be put on notice now. Because if you don't contain these guys, if you don't contain them, it's going to be a problem. You're going to see a lot more of my favorite celebration in the end zone. I love shout out Waddle. Boy, that celebration's hilarious.
Yeah, shout out, man.
But yeah, it's going to be
a good one in the AFC East this week for sure.
Stretch them hamstrings, them calves, because you're going to be at a track meet.
Facts. But also another team in the AFC East that actually beat another team in the AFC North. Those Patriots came out and beat up those Steelers.
I don't know.
Mac Jones back. Gets the late win. I'm not very impressed with Mac Jones just yet, though. Not sure if it's his lack of weapons, but he doesn't do it for me. He just barely scraped away this win. And to be honest with you, Mr. Trubisky's on a short leash, you asked me, on the other side of the ball.
Already. What did my boy say? My boy said week 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Mitch is already looking like week 4 they might have to take him out. The way he's moving.
It's Pickett time. It's almost Pickett time. But going back to Mac, it's unfortunate. Their #1 free agent ad in the offense was Devontae Parker. And I don't even think he has a reception this season.
He had 0 receptions this past game.
Yeah, so that's Bill, man. That's the power of Bill Belichick. I mean, he's going to get the most out of his players.
Speaking of that, as an Eagles fan, how does it feel to see Nelson Aguilar mossing people in a Patriots jersey, dunking on people in a Patriots jersey? How does that sound?
Shouts out to Nelly, man. It's that's what Nelson does, man. He's good for 1 or 2 of those a year.
Yeah, I'm just saying, it's exciting.
Going back to the Steelers, it's got to be Pickett time coming soon. The birds are starting to chirp. They're playing behind the 8 ball, losing T.J. Watt. it's a tough loss to that defense.
And Matt Jones picked that defense apart last week.
Yeah.
You know, that's the saddest part. The pass rush was not there. He had all the time in the pocket he needed to throw.
Right.
They're missing TJ a lot.
Yeah, and similar to, we talked about Green Bay Packers and young wide receiver core. We're seeing it kind of similar with the Steelers. Outside of Deontay Johnson, who's consistently going to have a good season, but outside of him, there's really nobody that's popped. Najee Harris is dealing with a Liz Frank injury, so he's not explosive and cutting up.
And I think the chemistry of George Pickens is not there with Trubisky at all. I think we'll see a lot more George Pickens once Pickett does hit the field. It's going to be Pickett and Pickens time.
Yeah, I think Pickett's going to be playing with a little bit of reckless abandonment when he first get there. Because you got to think, if the Steelers are going to go and play the way that, let's just say they're playing the way they're playing right now, and they do go like 1-4, Pickett might as well come in. That season's almost a wash. Am I correct? Like, we can almost call that a wash. If they don't win a couple of these next games, we're going to call their season a wash.
Yeah.
So you might as well, at that point in time, let Pickett come in and just start going to work. Let the kid off the leash.
I mean,
just let him
because
play
you
the
think
game.
about it, they probably win that game this past weekend if they have Pickett in the game. He makes the big plays that Trubisky is afraid to do. I think definitely bringing Pickett in it would be an upgrade to this offense and to this team. All right, but before we leave this division, actually, we got the Cincinnati Bengals still, and we got Stokes.
Is that Stokes?
Stokes on
Stokes.
to talk to us about what's going on in Cincy right now.
One job, Stokes.
Stokes. Yeah, come on. You got to talk your team up, dog.
Talk to us about these Bengals, Stokes. Is it a Super Bowl hangover?
All right, so let me be the first to say that I was an emotional Bengals supporter who definitely said that they was going to be back. I still see light at the end of the tunnel. It's a short tunnel because the truth of the matter is we are struggling because guys did not play in the preseason. There's no reason why our offensive line should not have been playing every game this preseason, at least for the first half.
That's a good point.
Them guys, they got to communicate. So there's no way we've spent all that money on the offensive line for the line to be worse. So I'm hoping guys tighten up. Bills are the team to beat. I think they're going to really show us how overrated Miami is this week, because I think they're going to run them boys out the building. So obviously one game at a time, but the Bills was good last year. We overlooking that they definitely got robbed in that playoff game. So watch out for them boys.
He's 100% right. I mean, you don't play offensive line that is brand new to each other. Guys that you brought in free agency and in the draft. You don't play them in the entire preseason and you expect to go into the season with chemistry? There's no chemistry on that offensive line right now. I agree with him 100%.
Yeah, I think that he's right. You don't spend all that money. Like you said, you spend all that money on you had to focus on getting one thing to make your team better. Just protect the guy that's making you your bread and butter. That's just getting you everything you need. And then what do? You go out there, you ship for him, you get him all the stuff he needs, and then they just crumble. They don't even look like they know how to block. Joey was getting beat up.
He was limping off the field last week, man.
Up. He was asking everybody for the answers, just staring into the sky. So I don't know what they need to tighten up. If I was them, I would just be running practice all day.
It's wild. We played 2 weeks, so eight quarters of football we played. And Joe Burrow has already been sacked 13 times. He's thrown 4 interceptions and fumbled 3 times.
That's too much.
8 quarters.
Nice.
8 quarters of football.
Too much.
He's getting beat up, man.
Stokes said it, man. You don't pay all this money to upgrade the offensive line, and they're worse. And being a former offensive lineman, there is something to say as far as chemistry, building chemistry with the man next to you, and also with the quarterback, knowing certain things, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe the lack of playing in the preseason, they haven't built the chemistry.
No, that's 100% what it is, man. Has to be.
Sorry, that's a real stat. 13. He's been sacked 13 times within 2 games.
That's insane.
I didn't know that. That's
13
crazy.
times.
Living on the
That's
ground.
a problem.
TJ Watt got probably half of them.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, so it's a short tunnel. They got to get it corrected soon, because starting out 0-2, the odds of them making the playoffs have already diminished big time. Especially in the division, the way we seen, granted, we just touched on it, but Baltimore is still a good team. I think any other week they win that game.
Mm-hmm.
Baltimore is still a good team, and obviously we mentioned every team in this division crumbled this week. So Cincy took a tough loss as well, but so did every other team. Not a single team is above 500 in this division right now, so there's still light at the end of the tunnel. There's still a bright side that the whole division is playing like crap right now.
Right.
So shout out to Stokes. Appreciate you coming on. But he also did mention that he changed his Super Bowl pick from being a biased Cincy fan to the Buffalo Bills. I mean, that is the last team in that AFC East division that we haven't mentioned this week. So let's talk a little bit about these Buffalo Bills and how they dominated on Monday night against those Tennessee Titans.
Defense. Their defense is crazy.
It is, man.
Shout out Milano, because that boy was all over the field. Interceptions, sticking Derrick Henry behind the line of scrimmage. I mean, this kid was playing out of his mind until he got hurt. He was playing out of his mind. The whole defense was all over the place. You held Tennessee to 7 points. 7 points.
Derrick Henry got hit behind the line more times than I think I've seen him ever get hit, man. Definitely a testament to that Buffalo Bills defense for sure.
They're different.
It's the perfect formula. You're talking about a high octane, just wheeling, dealing offense with a shutdown defense. It's the perfect formula, and there's no better team in the league right now than the Buffalo Bills.
So we've come on record, obviously, talking about Josh Allen. Doesn't even make sense to continue talking about him. He's probably going to be in the MVP conversation for sure.
Easy.
But Stefon Diggs, 12 receptions for 148 yards and 3 TDs. I mean, he's got to be amongst one of the best receivers in the league. I mean, in the argument for sure, right?
Oh, top 3 right now. Are we as of right now? If not, and it's interchangeable in my opinion, but if he's got to be number 1 or number 2, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
he's a magician.
He can't be checked.
Stefon Diggs, he is him.
Yeah,
he is him.
He is him.
He is him.
You are not him.
No,
he's him.
In Minnesota, those years in Minnesota, he was great, but now he's just on another stratosphere, and he's brought Josh Allen to that stratosphere. I mentioned last week that we saw, the evolution of Josh Allen. Now he's in that realm of the greats of the greats. They did this without their up and rising Gabe Davis, their wide receiver. So, a little bit of adversity and still the ship continues.
The trust.
Yeah.
Look at the trust there.
Yeah.
The amount of trust that is built between them.
Because you mentioned when he was in Minnesota and how great of a receiver he's always been. He's a route technician. He may be the best route runner in the league. I think I'm going on record to say it.
I have no argument.
That guy is such a route technician, and now the chemistry that he has gained with probably the best young quarterback in the league, that right there, the two together is what's making Stefon Diggs such an amazing talent at this point.
Especially as a 5th round pick out of Maryland,
Crazy.
It's wild. Like, he's unreal. Bills are unreal.
We got to address wait, don't go off them yet. We have to address their weak point, which is the one thing we all know it is, which is their running game.
Wait, hold on. My man James Cook with a huge bounce back game this week. 11 carries for 53 yards. Shout out James Cook.
Shout out James Cook.
Bouncing back, baby. Love that.
They needed that.
Fumble.
They needed that. This is the thing, though. Josh Allen's been their best running back.
Facts.
No disrespect to any running back on the team. Josh Allen has been doing more running than anybody else on the team. Now, I don't know if that's their offensive line. I don't know if that's the running backs themselves. But there's going to be a game they're going to need to run eventually to win. I don't know when it's going to come. I don't know who it's going to come against, but they're going to need to run the ball eventually. Now, I've always been a big advocate of them going to get somebody, but I see talent there. So I don't necessarily agree with that anymore. I don't. I take that statement back. I see talent. I see young talent on their team that could be good. So if Buffalo's got if I got any gripe with Buffalo, it's just getting more attack out there for the rushing game. They might not rush as much as they need to, I think.
Yeah.
In my opinion. But do they need to?
I think at this point in time,
do they need to?
Josh Allen has become such a great game managing quarterback that we're going to eventually see those games where you see him just hand it off the entire game. And that's what he's learning to do. Just like Tom Brady, just like Aaron Rodgers, he's becoming that mold of a quarterback that you're going to see those games where the rushing attack is going to lead this team.
I don't agree. And I don't agree in the sense of Josh Allen is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And as one of the best quarterbacks in the league, I want the ball in his hands every play. Every play.
So you don't agree on the rushing part?
I don't agree on the rushing part that he's
okay.
going to be handing the ball
about that he
off.
wasn't one of the best quarterbacks.
No, I don't agree on the rushing part that, he's going to hand the ball off. Like, he's the best player on that field outside of Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
Why not have the ball in his hands, continue to keep the ball rolling? Shouts out to Ken Dorsey, the offensive coordinator. You switch offense coordinator, Brian Daboll leaves, he steps up. It's still fluid. Nothing's changed with the offense. I think they continue to keep what they got going and let, like that young, the guy we keep preaching on, let young James continue to get comfortable in the league. He's in a grown man league now. Get comfortable. And then that's when you implement James in the offense. RPOs, screens out the backfield, utilize his pass catching.
I agree with that. And the only reason why I'm going to not even argue with that is because, like I said, none of that matters because their defense has allowed 17 points within 2 games.
There you go.
And it's again on two playoff teams.
Right.
On the Rams and Tennessee. So none of that matters to me, honestly, when nobody can score on them in the first place. So
it's facts. Hey, look, at the end of the day, the Buffalo Bills are rolling, and it looks like they're definitely Super Bowl favorites at this point in time. So shout out Stokes for changing your pick, man, because it's a good one. All right, so since we're talking about these Buffalo Bills, why don't we take this straight to the Who You Got segment of the show? Obviously, we had Money on the show a little earlier, so why don't we bring Money back for the Who You Got segment? We had just got done talking about these Buffalo Bills, so we're going to kick off the Who You Got segment with Buffalo going to Miami. Who you guys got?
go ahead, you take this one.
Yeah, I'll kick it off. So we got a track meet on Sunday. It's going to be a track meet. Buffalo, Miami. Hey, man, I've been in upstate New York. It's beautiful up there. But down here in the dirty, it gets hot. It gets hot. And with Tua, it's hot right now. The Miami Dolphins are hot right now. Mike McDaniel, shout out to him, former Niners offensive coordinator. He's doing his thing as a head coach now in Miami, and exciting. There's excitement in Miami. But the Buffalo Bills are rolling, and they get Gabriel Davis back, and Stephon Diggs is him. I'm taking the Bills.
I thought I was gonna get to argue with you. I was hoping you were gonna say Miami, dog. I thought I was gonna get to. Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. I think it'll be a shootout.
Yes.
But ultimately, I think I've been saying it's where I've been going the whole time. Buffalo's defense is just better than Miami's defense, in my opinion. And I think we're going to see Tyreek Hill running free. We're going to see Stephon Diggs cutting people up. See Gabe Davis free in the middle. We're going to see Waddle doing his thing. I think it's going to be a fun game to watch.
For sure.
It's a pick 'em. In my opinion, honestly, it could go either way. But if I had to really choose a side, I'm going to go Buffalo.
Talk to me, Money. Buffalo at Miami.
But Tyree said Tua is a more accurate quarterback than Mahomes or something like that in that nature, right?
Yeah, that's what he said.
Well, that's what he said. Yeah, we just saw Tua's best game of his entire career. I'm gonna say that right now. I don't think we'll see that repeated again. It was a great game. The offense definitely looks explosive. I don't think it's the Tua factor. It's the Tyreek and Jalen Waddle factor. That speed, right? But we're talking about Buffalo, man. Buffalo right now has just been manhandling these cats. Just, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I'm going, first off with Buffalo, man, praise up to Dane Jackson, man, with that injury. That was pretty ugly.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Let his recovery be great. But Buffalo going to come this game, man. They taking that, man. At the very least, I hope we see a game Miami show some strength, but I got Buffalo.
True indeed. We heard from Stokes a little earlier, too, and he said that the Bills were going to show who Miami really was. And I got to agree with you guys, man. It's a clean sweep across this board, man. Shout out to Miami. They're definitely coming along, man. That offense is very explosive, and I do agree it will be a shootout. Buffalo's offense is just better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you've mentioned that defense is probably the greatest thing about this Buffalo Bills team. Got to go Buffalo, man. Even though it's in Miami, I just hope that the Miami Dolphins can get some points on the board early just to make this a game, because that's the problem with, Tennessee and the Rams. The first 2 games is Buffalo has been jumping on these guys from the start. And Miami has to at least withstand that first blow or two, because Buffalo is tough, man. And like you said, man, their running game is starting to come along as well. So, once they get a big lead, they're starting to learn how to, seal the game with that run. So I definitely like Buffalo on Sunday.
Game 2, we got the Battle of the Greats. Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay Packers going to Tampa Bay, taking on the Buccaneers and Tom Brady. Who y'all got?
So I heard something that Aaron Rodgers, he has a losing record in the state of Florida. He doesn't like playing it. But on another thing, for the entire league, y'all can blame the Saints because the Saints, you effed up, right? What y'all did last week done set Brady off.
I didn't think about that.
It done set Brady off, and you done set the GOAT off. Don't do that. I mean, they got a lot of things against them. Evans with the 1-game suspension. The appeal got upheld. He's still suspended for the game. They brought on Cole Beasley. Probably get called up to play on Sunday. Brady's just going to pull this game off, man. I just don't see it happen for Aaron Rodgers, but him still trying to learn his receivers. I mean, Sammy Watkins had a great game, but, we always see Sammy Watkins have a good game the first 2-3 games of the season, and you never hear about him again. But I got the Bucs in this one, man. That defense is going to step up and maybe only give up a touchdown to the Packers. That's what I'm going to say.
That's it right there. That's it. And that's why I agree with you, Money. I got the Bucs on this one, too. Both Green Bay and the Bucs will be playing without, any elite receivers, right? It's gonna and both of them have a good run game. I think it's gonna be Tom Brady against Aaron Rodgers with, minimal receivers, and it's gonna be the battle of that defense. And the way that defense looked last week against those New Orleans Saints, I'm going Tom Brady and these Bucs in South Florida.
All right, well, then I'm the guy that's going to go Green Bay.
There you go.
And I'm going to go Green Bay. I'm going to go Green Bay singly because you almost made my point. Both playing with below average receivers right now.
Right.
Just like Money said, Rodgers doesn't have his connection yet with his receivers, with the young guys and his receivers yet. I completely agree with you. This, to me, isn't going to be so much a battle of the defense as it is the running game. And we've talked about this before the show even happened. We talked about this. Leonard Fournette has not made himself present this whole year. Now, on the other side, we got Green Bay. He's out here shifting. Right. They have a better running game in Green Bay. And I think that is going to be the difference in this game. And I honestly think it's going to be a close game, but Green Bay actually takes this game.
Okay. Down to you, big body.
So it's down to me. I think I like what Money said as far as New Orleans setting up Tampa to explode and setting up Tom Brady. He's over here throwing tablets around and he's fired up. And he's at home. And let's see what happens with the weapon situation. Do we get Julio back? We're not having Mike Evans, Scotty Miller. But I think there's something going on in Tampa. I just think something's off. This team doesn't feel right now. And with that being said, I'm going to agree with Alex here. And I'm taking Aaron Rodgers and the Packers to come in there and cut up on these Buccaneers. Shout out to my boy Tayel, who's actually a season ticket holder. He's going to the game. I hope the game is good, just for your sake.
Yeah. But hey, send us a clip, bro. Send us a clip.
But right now, I think the Green Bay Packers have something to prove, and they're going to prove it on Sunday.
True indeed. All right, well, that takes us to the Sunday night game, which is the next game in the Who You Got segment. Money, can your Niners pull it off in the Mile High City in Denver?
Man, and this ain't a biased decision, right? I mean, everybody expects me to say the Niners, and I am going to say the Niners, but not to be biased. But we know Russ. We know Russ way too well, and Russ it's not clicking yet for that all. It will. It's just not there yet. There's still a lot to work out, but at the same time, Russ knows our defense all too well. It's going to be a hard-fought game. I ain't saying we're going to go in there and blow them out. I see this game being within 3 or 4 points, but I think the Niners pull this off. I'm going with my squad.
Who you got?
Oh, who I got?
Yeah, who you have?
I don't think you mentioned the fact that I don't think Jerry Jeudy is playing this game.
Nope.
He's out. That's a huge loss for Russ. But as banged up as the Niners are right now, and the fact that Russ played in Seattle for so long, I think I gotta go. I think I gotta go Denver in the Mile High here.
All right. I like that. Especially because Russ is, I think, 16-4 against the 49ers.
All time?
All time,
yeah.
But I'm with Money on this one. I honestly don't think I think their offense is terrible. I think they're bad. I think they're just bad overall in the offense. Russ, you got no Jerry Jeudy. They can't click tight end wise. They're not doing anything right. They're just bad. They're bad overall. I think San Fran got this easy, honestly. I don't even think this is... I think y'all going to clear them about maybe 17. I don't think they're that good. The only problem is you're playing them in their house.
Denver is a notorious place. It's a tough place to play. You know, especially coming from the West Coast. You got to go, you know, to the Mile High with the altitude and stuff like that. But I don't think it's going to matter. There's something, I mentioned something being off in Tampa. There's definitely something off in Denver. It's maybe a hot take. I believe the best days for Russell Wilson are behind him.
Oh. Wow.
Russell Wilson is notorious for having hot starts to the season and then picking and dropping off towards the end of the year.
That's very true.
Well, now it's reverse. Like, we're starting off slow, so we're going to pick up. There's something off in Denver.
I think there's a lot of doubters right now doubting Russ.
No, there is.
I think he proves himself this week.
No, there is. But there's something off. I think that week one, against his old team in Seattle, like that game he was supposed to win. And the way they walked off the field and took that field goal, something didn't sit right with me. And we mentioned it earlier with the Niners, getting Jimmy G, upgrades the offense. Big game from Debo this week. I'm taking bang, bang, 9 a game.
All right, so we got one more game to talk about, though, man.
Yes,
Monday
sir.
Night Football. NFC East battle.
Give me these.
Cowboys
Give me these.
going to the state of New Jersey to play the New York Giants. Who you got?
Who thought we would be talking about this?
You ain't got to ask me who I got. G-Men. On to the next.
I'll take next. All right. I don't know whether to agree. I can't, bro, honestly.
G-Men all day, baby.
Can I be?
Big Blue in the building.
Can I say I don't want to pick, or do I have to choose? Because in reality, I'm gonna be honest, and I know you feel me. But you feel me though. How do I? All right, we got Cooper Rush, old Ezekiel Elliott, and Tony Pollard, and CeeDee Lamb and Noah, or we got your boys, which I don't even know besides Saquon.
Leading rusher in the league, Saquon Barkley, baby.
I'm going Cowboys. I'm going Cowboys. I have no dog in the fight. I couldn't tell you. I'm gonna go Rush.
Now, if there's somebody that shouldn't be allowed to pick, it should be me. But
You don't want that Russ pick.
I will make my pick. And we didn't think we were going to see the G-Men starting out 2-0. It's surprising, to say the least. The Cowboys dealing with adversity. We mentioned it earlier, Cooper Rush. Big game from Noah Brown stepping up. I think he's the leading receiver for the Cowboys. But it's going to take more than kicking field goals to win when you play real competition. I think Micah Parsons has a big game, a TJ Watt-esque game, and gets all over Daniel Jones. And I think it's just going to be too much. I think they slow down Saquon Barkley. And it hurts me to say this, but I'm going to take the Cowboys.
So weird. That's so weird.
I think there's some scuttlebutt going on with Kenny Galladay and the weapons. And I don't know. Brighter days ahead for the G-Men for sure, but I'm taking the Cowboys.
Looking down at our schedule, this is a must-win this week.
For sure.
This is a must-win. G-Men, pull it out, man. Money, it's on you. Got 3 Cowboy picks, including Jarvis earlier. So, who you got?
It's ugly, to be honest with you.
It's ugly.
Look at this game. It is. I mean, I'm with you there, Big Body, on the fact of these wide receivers, man. It's just, you think about, Galladay, rumors, supposedly coach told him to leave. You know what I'm saying, if he wanted to. But, you got Richie James out there, former Niner, out there catching passes.
Right.
I mean, big thing, I've said it in the offseason, I have a hard time buying into Kadarius Toney. I mean, we need to see the young rookie Wandell to get out there. But then you look on the other side of the field, you got Noah Brown out here being heavily targeted. Dalton Schultz potentially might miss this week too. So it's just going to be ugly on both ends of the field. I think it's going to be a real sloppy game. And it's a tough call, man. Defensively, Cowboys have a better unit to bring up there, in my opinion, with role players. But if this game was at Dallas, I would be going Dallas. But for the fact it's in the Giants' home stadium, I think I'm going to run with the Giants here. And it's going to be a hot conversation when it comes to the NFC East all next week through all these media outlets that they are 3-0 sitting on top of the NFC East. But
Yeah.
on that note, all due respect to your G-Man, y'all have not really faced a true quarterback yet to really earn the respect of where you're going to go with this season. I will say that.
Right.
I agree. And we're going to take advantage of that one more time this week and make sure we go 3-0 and get this must win.
You guys got to show me a way to win the game. You can't show me shuffle passes. I get it. It's pretty. It's cute. But this isn't going to always win you a game. And neither are field goals. Like Jay said earlier.
We're going to show you Monday night. But
I mean, if Cooper Rush is out here throwing tutties like it's nobody's business, how come Jones can't do the same?
We are not getting Cooper Rush this week.
You guys are getting Cooper rushed on, boy. I'm going to be the Cowboys. We ride the Cowboys.
Unfortunately, yeah.
All right. Money, appreciate you joining us for the Who You Got segment.
So, man, y'all boys be easy, man. Money
Hey,
out.
be safe out there, dog.
Yep.
Alex and Big Body Boy, appreciate y'all coming back for episode 3 of season 2.
Yes, sir.
And thank you guys for watching. Make sure you check us out at sportjv.com. Support the merch, JDino 407 for savings. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And obviously, if you haven't yet, mash that button on YouTube, like and subscribe. And if you want to support the show, cash app us at $JVSPORTSROOM. And obviously, we got a quote, as usual, for you guys. This one's for you, Big Body Boy, from Russell Wilson.
Make me a believer.
Learn to embrace the opportunity presented by adversity so you can enjoy the challenge of overcoming adversity. Thank you guys for watching.